Listen, Nick, your brother Nate fought over the weekend. He looked awesome. Big win, man. That Michael Johnson's a tough son of a bitch, and Nate really looked great. But look, the numbers came out today. It said he was paid 20 and 20. Is that a misprint? Is that a misprint?
No, man. That's and I didn't have a lot to do with that either. I didn't understand like what, his last bunch of fights. I don't know why he took any of them. I would have quit. I told him, I was like, I didn't really tell him. I wanted to, kind of just figure out the ins and outs of everything, and I didn't understand it. I'm like, wait a minute, you're fighting for what? Yeah, and I just didn't, we've had like a little bit of a lack of the communication over this last year or so, just on account of, we're both grown up now. He's got a pretty tight home situation, you know what I mean? And I don't like to get involved with that or screw with anything, and tell him what to do, because, he's his own man. He's grown up, but on the downside of that, see me, I've been making my rounds around, you don't ever get out of Stockton. It's like, it's crazy. It's like toxic. There's nobody doing anything out there. There's nobody making any money. There's nobody to talk to, and nobody comes to you out there. I mean, I'm in Las Vegas for a week, and I meet people from all over the world. And then next thing you know, I'm all over the world. People are flying me here and there, and now I see why I was complaining so much. I never get anything. I didn't know anybody, didn't talk to anybody, and there's nobody to tell me or explain to me how things work. So I had to do all this myself, all these fights, and work my way up. And, I used to get paid nothing, too. I did my first fight, 2-2, 4-4, 6-6, 8-8. I went all the way up before I was like, I'm going to be a pro boxer. I'm like, I can win. I was going to fight Jeff Lacey. That's how I got the contract, of pay-per-view. I started getting a pay-per-view percentage into my paydays because, they had to, because I was going to go and fight for millions of dollars in boxing. And I would have won, too. I put in better days with some top level, I put in better days with Andre Ward than probably a lot of the guys he's even fought. So I'm just saying, like, I've had the experience. I have the, I know my way around a boxing gym. I'm about the only one in the sport, there's some people that are really skillful. I like to say, like, I'll drop names even. Like, I like the way Frankie Edgar's understanding. I like Masvidal's understanding. KJ Noon's, of course, he's a pro boxer.
All right, so let's back up on Nate, because I'm not the only one to notice this. I mean, this is what all the internets are talking about. Nate's pay came out that he was 20 and 20. I don't even know what to ask you right now. I don't even know what to say.
It makes me sick. It makes me sick what I get paid. It makes me sick of what I have done in the past. And then when you see this guy come out and do really well, and it drives you crazy. Of course, I'm not going to jump out of line and say anything. I'm not planning on moving down to 145. However, if you were to get that, I don't want to jump ahead and say what I was about to say, but I've already fought at 3 weights before. I can do all 3 of those weights. Don't try to, it's not like you're trying to do something no one's done before. I mean, I didn't hold a title at those weights, but there's a lot behind that. It's not just, I never had any. I'm doing 4-4 and 2-2 and 8-8. I'm like, yeah, no shit. I'm like, it's not like, and I'm doing 3 to 5. Me and him, we're doing 3 to 5 fights a year. 3 to 5 fights a year. 17 years later, 37 some fights later. After a while, you realize there's more to life. They really sell them short, and they really, both of us. But as far as the 20 and 20, and these guys are laughing or like thinking it's a joke. I'm like, no, dude, that's what he gets paid. I watched Rogan's podcast recently, and it's just that some of the stuff's kind of funny in there. I mean, I like what they're saying. Those guys are hilarious. But I mean, if, like, for instance, if my brother's trying to fight somebody, he's not going to punch him in the face. I'm like, come on, he's not going to show up at the guy's door like, when he's on his way to breakfast. I'm like, no, fight's already signed. Fight's already happened. Have I ever punched anybody that I wanted to punch before? It's like, it's not going to happen.
Is Nate's contract, how many fights does he have left on his contract before he goes into renegotiate?
I don't know, and I don't care about a contract and all that. That's why I got, it's too much for me to look into that. A lot of times it stresses me out. Like my deal, I don't know a lot about my deal. I have to ask. People are like, what about your contract? I'm like, you know what? At the time, I really didn't want to take the time to try and understand it. I'm stressed out, focused on a fight, and I've got people, closing this deal for me. I'm not the one to know about it, and I didn't want to know about it. Now I have a little more patience to sit down and wrap my head around, like, how my contract works and what actually holds up and what doesn't. In my opinion, it doesn't really matter what's on his contract. It matters what the fans want to see It matters, these guys want to make money too. I want to make money. They want to make money. The fans want to see the right fight. They don't want to let the fans down. I doubt that they will, and they shouldn't. It's a joke if they do. So, we'll see what happens on with that. But, yeah, I don't know about his contract.
All right.
All I know is after the fact, I know what kind of money he was getting paid, and I don't care what's on a contract. I don't give a shit. I would have quit. I'd been like, fuck you. I'm not. What the fuck? I'm gonna buy a trailer and fucking live in a fucking trailer and grow some fucking garden in the backyard and try to and try to be cool with it. Like it's just what I grew up around that my whole life. So what's it? It's not the end of the world. I'm like, there's people starving in some countries. I'm not gonna cry while there is people starving in some countries. So however, I will bitch and complain about certain fighters. Getting more than what they deserve, and it's just a joke. All of a sudden you have this one guy who gets everything. I'm like, that's great. I'm happy for him. I don't like to be a hater. I'm not in any way any type of hater, but let's be real here. Let's give the fans a fight that people want to see.